As always, you sound beautiful. This is the day the Lord has made. Marty Keller here, former principal speaker emeritus. I'm not sure, but always happy to be with each other, with us here. And like I said, it's the first weekend in November, so we're all enjoying that extra hour of sleep we had last night. And some of us were talking about little clock experiences before we got here, and I had reset all my clocks this morning, I thought, and then there was one I didn't, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm late for service. So, as always, welcome to our humanity. It's beautiful. So, Capital City Unity is celebrating uh, this fall day. It's also the Sunday before our national election. I thought I might talk a little bit about that, but everybody knows how to be with elections and strife and contests. So I'm going to leave that to the inner Christ of all of us to manage that for our citizenry here. And we're going to talk about us today, like I said. So let's start today with the daily word. The daily word for today is seasons. And the word is, throughout the seasons of life, my Christ light shines brightly. Throughout the seasons of life, my Christ light shines brightly. When winter follows the autumn harvest and the sun's light grows weaker, what may resemble barren land is actually a time of rest, a preparation for a new cycle of seasons. The sun's light and warmth change in ways that perfectly suit each season. My life, like the planet Earth, moves through seasons, the awakening of wonder in childhood, exciting and sometimes stormy growth through adolescence and early adulthood, the achievements of my middle years, and the fulfillment that maturity can bring. The Christ presence, the divine light within me, is my unfailing source of strength, understanding, and comfort in every season of life. And the word is inspired by this scriptural reading from the book of Genesis. And God said, let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Throughout the seasons of life, my Christ light shines brightly. Throughout the seasons of life, my Christ light shines brightly. Would you like to affirm that with me together? Throughout the seasons of life, my Christ light shines brightly. The daily word for November 3rd. And my friends, as always, I invite us to look around the room as we affirm where two or more are gathered in the name of the Christ. The Christ is here. The I am is here, manifesting in our experience of one another, in our experience of the truth that we are all dedicated to manifesting. And it's such a beautiful vision to see each of us. And I'm grateful to be part of us. One of the things that binds us together is that fundamental truth of our affirmations. And as always, I'll say it and ask you to repeat it with me. There is only one presence, one power, one love active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Together, there is only one presence, one power, one love active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. We drink that in. We feel the presence in our, whatever it is we're experiencing right now, that's the presence of God. And looking around the room, we take on our second version of this affirmation. There is only one presence, one power, one love active in this ministry, God the good, omnipotent. Together, there is only one presence, one power, one love active in this ministry, God the good, omnipotent. And then we expand our consciousness out from our individual selves, out from this ministry, this collection, assembly of wonderful true students. We expand this consciousness to the entire globe, 8 billion human beings, all with the indwelling Christ in each of us. As we affirm, there is only one presence, one power, one love, enlightening our world today, God the good, omnipotent. Together, there is only one presence, one power, one love, enlightening our world today, God the good, omnipotent. Oh, that's such a powerful, powerful affirmation and truth. And I'd like us to experience that in song. And I'm going to ask us to open our book to page 212, 212, and we're going to sing Weave. As we sing Weave, think of the room, think of the people in the room, the weave us together. Spirit has woven us together into capital city unity, just as Spirit weaves us all together in the great human family. So, Emma, would you cue that up for us? Number 212 in our Wings of Song, Weave. Thank you. What a beautiful tune. What a beautiful musical expression of who we are and how we relate to one another and support one another and be for one another. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in thee. and we are one great family. So before we move to our time of meditation, I want to just check with Catherine, any announcements of anything? No, I see a shake of the official head, the presidential head. And so we're going to now move to this, as I said, our time of meditation. And as always, we will prepare for that with song. So I'd like us to open our hymnals to number 78. We're going to sing the Prayer of Faith, the Prayer of Faith, as we move into our time of meditation. Thanks, Emin. So I invite us to get still, to come into a relaxed position. If we're sitting in a chair, put our feet on the floor, with our back as straight as we can be. And if we'd like to close our eyes, we can close our eyes. We can be in a relaxed position. Let's take a deep cleansing breath. And as we breathe in God's love, God's joy, God's security. And we breathe out fear. We breathe out resistance. Breathe out limiting beliefs and thoughts. God is my help in every need. Every need. No matter the difficulties I face, God is with me. I can lean on the everlasting arms of the divine. God does my every hunger feed. God walks beside me, guides my way through every moment of the day. My friends, every time I hear this song, I hear Dorothy Pearson reciting this beautiful prayer of faith. Just another way for us to affirm what we already know. In God, there is no fear. In God, there is no obstacle. In God, There's only love, compassion, appreciation, value, joy. I am now wise, and now am true, patient, kind, and loving too. All things I am, can do, and be through Christ, the truth that is in me. We are born with the indwelling Christ. We have no say in the matter. The Christ is within us. The only say we have is to say yes or no to the presence, the power, the love of God. And in this community, we say yes to God. In this community, we support one another when our yes wavers. As human beings with emotional, physical bodies, we all of us have had the experience of something unfortunate happening that seems so overwhelming, so catastrophic, that temporarily God disappears from consciousness. But the brothers and the sisters in the community can hold that space for us while we undergo that difficult emotional turbulence. We are safe in God. We are safe in this ministry. God is my health. I can't be sick. God is my strength, unfailing, quick. God is my all. I know no fear, since God and love and truth are here. And we feel that. We feel that in our bodies, whatever it is, whatever sensations we're experiencing, that's God manifesting as those sensations. And of course, we're having thoughts. Doesn't matter what the thoughts are, they're just God expressing his mental chatter. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. So I invite us for the next few moments to go into that secret place of the Most High within our hearts and meet with the God of our being and let God love us in the silence for the next few minutes. Divine Presence, you are our help in every need. You do our every hunger feed. You walk beside us, guide our way through every moment of the day. For this truth, for the fulfilling of this promise that you are always with us, we are ever grateful. We say, thank you, God. Amen. Well, the title of my talk is What Have We Learned? What have we learned? As we enter the last 2 months as a formal worship community, I think there's value in reflecting on the importance and significance of what we have created here. So I'd like to share with us several thoughts about Capital City Unity and what it has meant to what our co-founder Charles Fillmore called the great educational movement inaugurated by Jesus Christ. We may be the very last unity group in the world with a direct link to Charles Fillmore and his wife Myrtle, who together founded the Unity School of Practical Christianity. And it seems to me that this direct link to the passion and determination of our founders infused the consciousness of this ministry from its very beginnings. It has injected enormous meaning and substance to the matter of who we are and what we have consciously manifest during the course of our work together. The link is direct, simple, and substantial. Dorothy Pearson came to work at Silent Unity in 1938, where she was mentored by May Rowland, head of Silent Unity for 50 years, and by Charles Fillmore himself. May Rowland, who was raised in a Unity family and came to work at Unity headquarters as a young woman, was for many years under the direct tutelage and guidance of Myrtle Fillmore. Now, after Charles Fillmore died and Dorothy was ordained a Unity minister, she married Phil, with whom she led several ministries in the next half century of her life. And among those, of course, was Christ Unity Church here in Sacramento, where most of us met Phil and Dorothy and each other. So we have all benefited from the consciousness that Dorothy experienced from regularly rubbing shoulders for 10 years with Charles Fillmore and May Rowland and many others at Unity Village, who were among that group of people who were immersed in the healing faith and prayer consciousness that got the Unity School of Practical Christianity off the ground in the late 19th century. Now, the Fillmores, as we know, were mentored by one of the giants of the New Thought movement, Emma Curtis Hopkins, who in turn learned directly from Mary Baker Eddy, who herself was a disciple of Phineas P. Quimby, the physician who is generally credited as the one who started the New Thought movement around the time of the American Civil War. It was Dr. Quimby who discovered the power of faith to heal people at a distance. And that healing power was the foundational impetus of New Thought. So, from Quimby to Mary Baker Eddy, to Emma Curtis Hopkins, to the Fillmores and May Rowland, to Dorothy and Phil, to us. This is the powerful heritage and legacy of Capital City Unity. Our direct experience as a congregation, the founding consciousness of this ministry, comes, of course, from Phil Pearson, who brought all of his spiritual experience and deep relationship with Spirit to our community here. Even before he met and married Dorothy, our founder was steeped in the consciousness of the indwelling presence of the divine. He brought his confidence in this fundamental truth to his years of work leading various Unity ministries. His curiosity about the relationship between this truth and its expression in human scientific exploration added a unique perspective on how truth manifests itself in daily life for all of us fortunate enough to be in one of his ministries. And so here, that flow of consciousness continued after Phil left and went to the village, as Cherie Larkin took over primary speaking duties. Remember, Cherie was a teenager when she started attending Christ Unity and went to ministerial school at the village with the encouragement of both Dorothy and Phil. And then when Cherie left and I stepped up to the pulpit, I too brought to our work my experience of working with the Pearsons, serving on the boards both of Christ Unity and of Capital City Unity. Now, I have further had the blessing of Dorothy teaching me lessons in truth literally at her dining room table. And I also had the privilege of having a personal guided tour of Unity Village from Dorothy. Now, one of the highlights of my tenure here as principal speaker was participating in the tour of the village with Cherie and over a dozen of us. I see some of us here who were all in that time together at the village back in the summer of 2019. And among the wonderful experiences we had there, two stand out, two that are emblematic of our link to our founders. The first was visiting the original Unity the Unity building at 913 Tracy Avenue, just east of downtown Kansas City, and standing in the very room on the third floor where Myrtle Fillmore set up the first silent Unity office and prayer room. Standing in that room, I could feel, and I know that all the others of us who were there could feel the presence of Myrtle Fillmore. We could feel it. It was in the air. And the second important experience for me was being afforded the opportunity to participate in the 24-hour prayer vigil in the Silent Unity Chapel back at the village, where prayer intentions from all over the world are held in affirmative silence around the clock. Now, as I sat in that beautiful prayer chapel with light streaming in from all around above me, I could feel the presence of God in every molecule of the air. I was conscious of the connection between each prayer intention lying in rows of cabinets in the walls of the chapel and the answer to those prayers residing, as Jesus himself insisted, in the faith of every petition. My friends, I share these thoughts to help us deepen our conscious contact with the divine presence that is and has always been the only reality, not just in this universe, but in all realms created and uncreated. The fundamental truth that is shared along the links of that great educational movement affirmed by Charles Fillmore back in 1915 is simple. There is only one presence, one power, one love active in my life, your life, the ministry's life, and the world today, God the good, omnipotent. Now, this truth is not proprietary, that is, it does not belong to any one person or faith tradition. Universal truth. Sorry, accidentally muted myself there. This is not a proprietary truth, it's universal. And it comes into the world with the birth of every single human being. When Charles Fillmore suggested that this movement was inaugurated by Jesus Christ, what he meant by this is that Jesus taught a unique and powerful way to experience this truth despite our human limitations. What Jesus inaugurated and demonstrated was a practical path to what Emily Cady called spiritual realization. Spiritual realization, making spirit the reality of our every moment. as a path that anyone and everyone can follow. Like Jesus, the founders and early leaders of the Unity School of Practical Christianity were down-to-earth people. They were quite willing to face and address the impediments to spiritual realization that are embedded in human nature, at least as far as it's evolved to date. Jesus himself knew that what he was teaching was something that, while available to everyone, most people would find immensely difficult, at least at first. His radical instruction, which he himself followed and demonstrated, was that experiencing the kingdom of heaven only occurs when we totally release our loyalty to the kingdom of earth. We must die to our limited and limiting beliefs in order to be resurrected into the realm of infinite love and possibility. Now, most people, when we first hear this instruction, our natural human reaction is, are you nuts? Give up myself? How do I do that? So it's really important for us to grasp this fact that we humans are not designed to automatically know and appreciate that we are always experiencing the presence of God, that we are experiencing what Jesus called the kingdom of heaven. Now, there's a story in all three synoptic gospels that illustrates his understanding of this human reality and illustrates his compassion for our experience of it. I want to read to us the version that's in the Gospel of Matthew. And behold, one came to him and said, Teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why so you ask me concerning that which is good? One there is who is good, but if you would enter into such life, keep the commandments. And he has said unto him, Which commandments? And Jesus said, Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, honor thy father and mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And the young man said unto him, All these things I have observed, yet what do I still lack? Jesus said unto him, If thou would be perfect, go, sell all that you have, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven. And so come, follow me. But when the young man heard the saying, he went away sorrowful, for he was one that had great possessions. And Jesus said unto his disciples, Verily I say unto you, it is hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. It is easier for a camel to go through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter the kingdom. And when the disciples heard this, they were astonished exceedingly, saying, Well, who then can be saved? And Jesus, looking upon them, said to them, With men, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Now, metaphysically, the rich man and his possessions represent our built-in determination to cling to our limited mental conception of ourselves. This self-concept is something every human being develops to one degree or another, and it determines everything about how we live our lives and relate to one another and to the world itself. The difficulty that a rich man has in entering the kingdom of heaven represents the stubbornness with which we are designed to believe that our personal autonomy is an absolute fact. This belief is as powerful as the strong nuclear force that binds subatomic particles of an atom together. It is so strong, Jesus tells us, that we do not possess the power to overcome it. But this doesn't matter because God does. With God, he reminds us, all things are possible. So when Jesus tells us that we have to die to our belief in our personal self, to what Emily Cady in the first chapter of Lessons in Truth calls bondage to the flesh and the things of the flesh, he's also telling us that we need not attempt to do this on our own. We have the power and the love of God to do that work for us. All we have to do is ask, to say yes to God's offer to do the work for us. So many of the difficulties of life are the result of the endless internal struggle to find peace and tranquility. So many of the obstacles to this goal are built into our psychology from birth. The very course of human development, from our pre-verbal experiences to childhood limitations of understanding and communicating, generates in all of us a belief in the primacy of the here and now. It is very much to Unity's credit that our founders never shrank from dealing with this fundamental human reality, but rather took it into account when teaching the practical ways to let God be God in us. Now, at the same time, there's another fundamental fact about following the path to spiritual realization that Unity implies, but does not always directly address. And that is that walking the path, while one can certainly do so by oneself, is better done in a community, better done as a community activity, better done as something we all work on together. Yes, while it's true, as Emily Cady says, that each of us must enter into his or her own private chamber to discover what she calls the secret place of the Most High, it is also true that the power of love, compassion, and tenderness that we offer each other as we find our way makes our journey easier. For just as we humans are designed to develop in such a way that realizing spirit is a challenging endeavor, so too we are designed as social animals, doing our best in loving cooperation with one another. We thrive in community. It's where we find joy, fun, adventure, serenity. Jesus understood this, for he recruited 12 disciples to be his special and powerful community. They weren't just there for Jesus to groom as evangelists of the good news that he was teaching. They were also there to love and support him through the difficulties and challenges of his ministry. As in every effective group, they acted as a mirror for him to see himself, which helped him hone his message and to practice what he preached. This is why spiritual seekers in every religious tradition the world over have always gathered in groups to share the experience and support one another through the inborn obstacles that we all have to deal with in order to enter the kingdom of God right here, right now. Each of us brings a special and particular talent and spirit to the group. And the group is made better for this contribution that we each bring. And there is always someone there to behold the Christ in me when I am too weak or fearful or freaked out to behold the Christ in myself. And so this is true in this ministry. This is true here at Capital City Unity. From the very beginning, when we gathered at the Red Lion Inn, through to our years at the Fulton El Camino Community Center, right through to our current Zoom room meeting place, we have been blessed with the unique gifts of many wonderful, spiritually adventurous, and loving colleagues. So I'd like to take a moment right now to invite each of us to remember. Do you remember your first visit to Capital City Unity? Who was speaking that day? Do you remember who you met? What old friends you might have been surprised and happy to see that you didn't expect? Do you remember the feeling in the room when you walked in, when you walked out? Take a second, revisit that first time that you came to Capital City Unity. And now let's bring to mind memory of a favorite moment over the past years. Perhaps it was something a speaker shared, an insight that helped illuminate something new for you. Maybe it was from a chat over coffee after a service. Maybe some particularly lovely music or meditation. Maybe you have memory of a burning bowl service, a special moment with a dear one before or after a service. Do you have a favorite moment as a member of Capital City Unity? Well, we've been through so many experiences together over the years that sometimes it's probably hard to focus on any one particular thing. Even as I sit here, as I prepared this talk and now sitting here, there's so many things flashing through my mind of wonderful things that happened, sometimes difficult things that happened. I remember one particular uh, congregational meeting that was kind of tense and but still it was the Spirit of God was part of that as well. But what I'd like us to bear in mind is that our total sense of Capital City Unity, of our time together here, whether we came to the very first service at Red Lion Inn or joined later on, was created by each and every one of us and with our particular consciousness. The consciousness of the ministry is always the shared consciousness of each member. When two or more are gathered together in my name, I am there, has not just been our guiding principle, it was and is our actual experience. So in this way, we are each of us yet another link in that great educational movement of which the traditions established by the Fillmores, by May Rowland, Emily Cady, Eric Butterworth, Georgia Tree West, Charles Dillett Freeman, Johnny Coleman, Edwin Gaines, Martha Smock, Phil and Dorothy Pearson, and many, many, many others over the decades have set examples for us. We have been blessed to receive through Phil Pearson regular, undistilled Fillmore teachings that so powerfully guide us in our daily commitment to let God be God in us. So even if this particular ministry closes its doors, the links that we all are will continue to radiate, to share, to love, to demonstrate, to support. We have all of us, through our participation in this and earlier Unity and other New Thought ministries, demonstrated our commitment to knowing and manifesting that simple truth that Jesus Christ taught so many years ago, that there is only one presence, only one power, only one love active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And as we move on from Capital City Unity, we will continue to be a beacon of this great, powerful, and foundational principle to all the communities in which we live and participate. So as we move to the end of this share, I invite us to affirm again this foundational truth that makes us a link in the great educational movement inaugurated by Jesus Christ. There is only one presence, one power, one love active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Together, there is only one presence, one power, one love active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And as always, I'd like to seal the deal in song. And I know we sang this one last week, but I think it's perfect exemplar of who we are as a community. It's number 183, I Am the Radiant Life of God. And another reason I wanted to sing this is because Phil has always been a great promoter of the Joy Song. And this is one of those great peppy joy songs that help us embody this truth of who we really are, and as the embodiment of the indwelling Christ. So 183, if you need the words. We can feel that truth, the radiant, powerful love, wisdom, health of God, because there is only one presence, one power, one love acting in our lives. And that one presence, one power, one love brings all of those qualities into our lives. Even when our little minds are going, no, they're not. Yes, they are. So thank you very much, my friends. And now's our time to share our prosperity with this ministry. We have many ways to donate and contribute. And we just take our virtual offering in our hands and we affirm, I give in love because I love to give. I give in love because I love to give. We demonstrate our prosperity by being willing to give it all away. And this is a place if you want to send a check, or will you take cash, Catherine? You can, here's where, here's the address as we wind down our time here together on Sagamore Way. So thank you very much for that reminder there, Emin. So now we come to the close of our time together, and we're going to sing our closing song, Love is the Only Power. And then I'm going to ask us to unmute our microphones and say the prayer for protection together. So I invite us to unmute. And as we go forth, may we know that the love of God surrounds us, the light of God holds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. And all is well.
Love y'all.
Amen.
Love the hearts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Marty.
Thank you,
Good
Marty.
memories.
That was great, Marty.
Lovely to walk down memory lane with y'all.